After chewing up and spitting out the toffees, the Clarets come back to earth after having their wings clipped by the Canaries. This is the No No Never podcast. Good evening and welcome to the No No Never podcast. The more observant of you will notice that I'm not Natalie Bromley. This is Tom. I've got Adam with me today. We're just going to have a bit of a post-mortem of what was an incredibly disappointing weekend of football. You know, the results on Saturday all seem to go against us. Leeds winning, Everton winning, Brentford winning, of course, as well on Sunday. That gap starting to get ever wider. And then, of course, we failed to do the business. 2-0 defeat against the Norwich City team, who already looked doomed. Let's get the ball rolling, Adam. So let's pull the plaster off. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I think post-mortem is probably the best way to describe it. I can't remember a weekend of football where absolutely everything's gone against us like that. Just seemed to get worse and worse as the weekend went on. No matter how much Sky bigged it up, I couldn't get anything like excited for the Man City-Liverpool game yesterday. Football could do one by that point. It's been a struggle to get anyone else on this pod tonight. Everyone's a bit down in the dumps, but we'll do a good job of having a good wine and a moan, I'm sure.
Wine and a moan covers it, doesn't it? It's hard to be too upbeat after the performance. Let's start by talking about the game itself then. I think pretty much I went down yesterday. I think pretty much everyone I spoke to in the pubs and everything before was fairly confident. You know, the Everton performance was really good. Obviously, a bit of a setback that Everton then obviously pulled out a win of their own. I don't think they were phenomenal against Man United, but they got the job done. And the kind of win that we used to pride ourselves on, you know, a 1-0, nick a goal and then sit on it. But yeah, even with that momentum kind of shifting their way a little bit, I think we all expected to carry on a bit of confidence from Wednesday's game, but it just didn't happen, did it? The start was slow. Talk me through what you made of the first goal, because to me, it's poor defending, I think. And I know they get the look with the deflections, but I think they could have dealt with it better.
I think we quite often, even though we have 11 men back for corners, we do quite often let teams have a bit of space on the edge of the box. It's as if Dyche has worked out all the percentages and knows that the chance of actually finding the net from that range is quite low. But he had acres, and yeah, we closed him down as quickly as they possibly could from the starting positions. But yeah, we left ourselves way too open to that, and he's hit it pretty cleanly. But yeah, like you said, a couple of deflections off the inside of the post. And it's exactly what we didn't want. But we need to be better than that. We needed to be better from the off, and really take ownership of it. And they were, no matter, even if they've got nothing to lose, they would have been vulnerable. If we'd have come out and showed some real purpose from the start, and got that first goal, then I think we were only going to go one way. But as we've shown and stats showed, that Sky kept reeling out at the weekend. When we do fall behind away from home, we've really often, don't really come back from it. And yeah, it just set the tone for a really disappointing afternoon.
Yeah, it was really frustrating for me because the game at Turf against Norwich, you know, they dug in, they sat in for a point. You know, they weren't interested in attacking really, but we just didn't look like we knew how to break them down. You know, there's two centre halves heading everything away, throwing themselves in front of everything. You know, that's all they're good at, really. You know, the kind of big lumps, championship centre halves, really. I think Jamie Smith called them in the newsletter today, and he's not wrong. But we just, you know, we didn't seem to have an answer to that. And when I saw that, you know, when we go 1-0 down that early, you know that they're going to sit on, you know, a low block, and we're going to struggle against it. And it proved that way, you know, for the rest of the first half. Real shame, because as you say, if we come out and flown at them, you know, the Brighton game, even Wednesday night Everton, you know, the first 10, 15 minutes were already banging on the door until we scored. So we can do it, and it just didn't seem to be there. So that probably the next half an hour, I think, or the first half an hour of the game, certainly, we just didn't really look like scoring, did we? That one where Rodriguez sent Cornet away, hit the shot from the angle, you're never going to beat a Premier League keeper from there. But Norwich looked the more dangerous team to me on the counter-attack. You know, such as we have a midfield, they were going through that midfield at will. And it was only really the last sort of 15 minutes, 10, maybe 10, 15 minutes of the first half that we settled into the game and we looked like we were going to score. It's a lot of shooting from the edge of the box, a lot of balls in, corners. Didn't really give Crew a lot to do.
Yeah, we're all percentage stuff. And like you say, you just played straight into their hands. We were just that Westwood attempted ball into the channel. Just really sick to death of watching it. Thought, yeah, we need to play football against those sort of sides. They just ate every ball into the box up comfortably, did Hanley and Gibson. And yeah, we've made 2 bang average Premier League defenders. Yeah, good in the Championship. Look like the world beaters for the afternoon. And even that, yeah, like you said, 5 or 10 minutes before half time, we did up the pressure, but I don't think we still didn't show much quality other than that corner chance. And if someone is going to score from that range, it is going to be corner, and it was a good effort, decent save by Krul, and we had a few corners. But yeah, it's all set pieces and yeah, not really looking like breaking them down, and then them on the counter attack, getting in behind half midfield with ease. Pookie looked really dangerous every time he got the ball. And yeah, if up until that 5 or 10 minutes before half time, I thought we were in danger of conceding a second, more likely than actually scoring. And then I don't know whether you want to cover the free kick that we got just before half time.
I just honestly, the mind boggles. I keep remembering this at various points, and I'm just angry all over again. And, you know, you've got. I don't think many people disagree that Cornet is our most, you know, attacking wise, he's our best player. He's the most skillful, proficient player. We've already seen him score a cracker of a free kick, which I think was it was our first direct free kick goal for about 3 years or something, wasn't it? Since before at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So you get that free kick on the edge of the box for our time. You think, here we go, there's a chance here for Cornet. Sort of central, so left footer or a right footer. And you've got Brownhill stood next to him. You think, that's a clever decoy. Of course, Josh Brownhill's not going to take this. All I can say is he must take an absolute cracker in training, because he's shooting. It's woeful and it's horrendous. It's so bad. I mean, he's got one he scored that cracker against Millwall. I think puts him about on a par with Dean West for 25 yarders in the top corner. And then the one goal he scored in the Premier League, I mean, took more deflections than that Norwich goal, didn't it? How it went over the line, I don't know. But why in God's name would you put him on the free kick over corner? And of course, he hits it over the bar. You know, he's man enough to come out and say that after the game that he should be doing better with them. But I cannot get my head around why he's on them at all. And like I say, unless he's hitting 100 out of 100 into the postage stamp in training, why he would take that corner, I don't know. That was immensely frustrating. And we didn't come out any better in the second half. I didn't think. It was only when he put Vidra and McNeil on that we looked like we had something about us. We'll come on to Vegas in a bit. I'd like to talk a bit about Vegas, but let's talk about then, if we're talking about frustrating misses, there's only one that was more frustrating than that free kick, and it was the one for Cornet. So as soon as McNeil comes on, he made a difference. I thought he dispossessed the fullback really well, really clean tackle, gets down the wing, puts an absolutely fantastic ball in. You know, it's one of them you could get down on your hands and knees and blow it over the line. Cornet makes a good run, keeps himself on side. How does he miss that, Adam? How does he miss it? Please explain it.
Yeah, I was up. He was just in. It had to go in. And like I said, McNeil did brilliant. Actually carried the ball. Obviously after the interception, so he had some space, but he didn't look afraid to have a go at the Norwich defence when he came on. Looked confident, and the ball in's brilliant. Great run. It's just in the net, and it's got to go in. And it's massive. It's a massive moment in our season. Obviously, you've got to point at everything that Cornet's done. And all the positives, and you take him out and don't know where we'd be. But and who knows what happens after that? Gives us the lift. We could go on and win the game. We could take the wind out of their sails after a pretty strong performance. Yeah, it's one of them things. It can happen, can't it? It's just really frustrating. Got so much quality. That he didn't put that one away, and I think you just knew it was one of them. At that point, you just knew there were no way back, even though there was still 15, 20 minutes remaining.
Yeah, we didn't create anything like as good a chance of that for the rest of the game. So a couple of balls in the box where Rodriguez got his head to them, Maybe could have done a bit better at the target with one that bounced off the bar for Vidra, but yeah, I think after that
2-0 by that point, weren't it? It was 2-0 when Vidra hit the bar, weren't it? I think.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. After, I think the feeling in the stand was as well that that if we're not scoring then it's not going to be our day today. So it proved in Norwich. Oh, go on, sorry.
No, just reverse it. I don't know if you saw it in the stadium. I were watching at home. The potential red card for Lise Malou. It's one of them where if he's not booked already, I think he goes in the book. Probably clutching at straws, really finding some things, like some excuses as to what we served up yesterday. But that could have potentially changed the game. I don't know what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I think there was certainly a feeling in the stand that when he's on a yellow and he does that, then I think you're right. I think it's one of them. It's if he's not already on a yellow, he gets one. I think his first yellow was maybe a little bit soft. The trip on Taylor. I mean, it was a foul, but then when it's like right on the edge of your own box, you don't perhaps necessarily expect it to be a yellow card. What did surprise me was that you think when he makes that foul there, the referee goes over to him and says, "Look, the next one's a red." He didn't even consider that it could have been a talking to or a second yellow. So that made me think, well, was it as bad as it looked from this end? I think it would have been a soft red card, but I was surprised they didn't get a talking to at least. And I wasn't surprised to see him come off not long after that. I think probably Dean Smith knows that he's got away with one there. But that's been our season, hasn't it? There's how many big decisions have we had go our way as well. I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan crying about the refs all the time, but there's some big calls that haven't gone our way as well, and you could potentially say that was one of them. I was thinking, it put me in mind a bit of, do you remember the Huddersfield away game a couple of years ago? Went 1-0 down early in that one, and then Schindler got 2 yellows, and from there we just really stepped up a couple of gears and took control of the game and won it. And maybe if he'd have got the red there, then we would have done similar. But ifs and buts, and we should still have enough to beat them 11 now. Just before we sort of come on to some of the selection talking points, I wanted to just talk about the second goal. People love to say, when you're in a relegation battle, and we've heard it about Tarkowski and stuff, that they're down tools, they're not trying, that there's no passion. I don't really see that a lot with this team, but the second goal was just so easy, and there was just such a lack of. So the ball comes into the box, it's half clear to the edge of the box, and just nobody moves at all. No one goes to close it. No one. You've got Barnes stood one side of him, Westwood the other, and neither of them come out to the man. He's got all the time in the world. He wants to play that pass. Pukki's got space. He has a touch, then another touch, then another touch. Taylor plays him onside, bad positioning, but it's just so easy. I couldn't believe that there's no one. Throwing themselves in the way of that, closing it down, pressuring the ball. It's still 1-0 at that point, and the body language and everything for that goal, that really smacked to me of a team who don't have the belief that they're going to get back into it. I don't know. Did it look as bad on telly as it did in the ground? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say pretty good summary there. We're amateurish, really, and you see better players than Charlie Taylor doing similar things. I think Luke Shaw played J-Rod and Veghorst and J-Rod on side for similar when we scored against United. But yeah, the whole goal, just no energy in the defending, and it just come too easy. Running in on goal, he was never ever going to miss. He couldn't miss. And to just give them that still at 1-0. But like you said, I think after 85, 87, 88 minutes, whatever it was, we'd have no shots on target in the second half. I just think we were ebbing to a 1-0 anyway, and the belief had pretty much gone, whether that's right or wrong. It was really, really poor from our point of view. Really disappointing to watch. And really, as much as you should expect it at this stage of the season, the position we're in after Wednesday, you couldn't help but get a bit carried away and thought this is the one, this is our chance. But yeah, by that point, I think we were done anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. So it's a bad result. So let's have a bit of a chat about some of the reasons why it was such a bad result and a bad performance. I mentioned Vega earlier. That's the first kind of selection dilemma that I'd like to pick up. I'd like to get your thoughts first of all, and then I'll kind of chip in with my own as well. Yeah. But yeah, obviously we've paid a lot of money for him. It's not working. I think it's 1 goal in 11 or 12, which is not a good return. It's Chris Wood-esque for this season, dare I say. So what do you think's going wrong? Is it Vega's fault? Is it Dyche's fault? Is it what's around him? Is it a mix?
I think it looks a different player now than even when he came in. Like when he came in, you could tell he had confidence, he had swagger. He could obviously be a lot better with his feet than we all thought he was going to be. Probably not as good in the air as what we thought he was going to be. But it looked after a couple of games like we'd kind of got used to the way he were playing. And in particular, obviously the Brighton game, the Spurs game, the United game, even second half when he was linking up really well with J-Rod. And then the Palace game where he had a couple of chances, had disallowed goal, one tipped over the bar. You're thinking, we've got a real handful and a battering ram of a forward here, and we're learning how to play with him. And I'm sure it's probably a bigger talking point, but the balls into the channel just don't suit him. We played a few of them balls in those games and he didn't get anywhere near him. Whereas Wood, Vydra, Barnes probably a couple of years ago had been charging them down, trying to win the throw-ins, trying to win the balls back. He's not that sort of player. You need to obviously play into his feet, play off him, get players up alongside him, and support him that way. And we just haven't done it in these last 5 or 6 games. Even the Everton game, he didn't really have a sniff at goal. And I don't think we're playing to his strengths, but I think he looks a lot less confident, which you would do if you're not getting anything the last few games than when he first came in. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but we're definitely not helping him out.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I do feel really sorry for him because I think when you look at the record that he's got, is it 1 in 3 in the Bundesliga? You know, he was second or third behind Lewandowski over the last couple of seasons in the Bundesliga. He can't be a bad player. He can't be as bad as he's looking playing up front for us. I mean, I know you've had people like, Timo Werner who did really well in the Bundesliga and he's come over here and not done it, but he can't be as bad as what we're seeing. And when, like you say, when we've played to his strengths, when we've got the ball to feet, he showed some nice touches, he showed some ability. And I think you're right, like to be using him like, I think Peter Crouch said it, like a head on a stick, when he was getting brought on for the last 10 minutes. He's not that sort of player at all. And you can see that. And it's not took many of us, 10, 11, 12 games to work that out. So why it's taking Dyche that long to work it out, I'm not quite sure. There's no point putting him back to goal and hoofing it up in the air, or like you say, curling it round the corner and expecting him to run into the corner and hold it up, because he's not that sort of player.
He's having to play pinball half the time. You could say he's good with his feet, but it's bouncing all over the place with the balls we're trying to fizz into him. So it's
that's true.
Not very good.
Back to goal, I think even if you play it to his feet back to goal, I don't think he really wants it there. I think, maybe lay it off out wide and get in the box, 1 touch, 2 touch. That's all he wants to do. He should be in and around the box. God, I hate it when people say in and around, and I've just done it, but at least it makes grammatical sense. But yeah, you know what I mean. He should be on the end of stuff. He shouldn't be, this kind of, boot it up from defence, try and hold it up, or try and win the second ball. It's not working with him there. So there's no point, if we're going to keep doing that, there's no point playing him. And we'll come on to the tactics later. But I would just like to make one point on it, and this is playing devil's advocate a little bit. I think most people are of the same mind that a player with his pedigree, a Dutch international, etc., we're not playing to his strength. But what I would say is, when we bring Vydra on, Vidra's doing the same job half the time. They're hoofing it up aimlessly. Vydra wins more headers than him. Now, you could say, and he's half the size. Now, whether that's he understands the way, what he needs to do with them balls a bit more because he's been here a few years. Does he position himself better? Does he time his jumps better? Or does he just want it more? I do get the sense with Vega that he just thinks, I can't be arsed doing this because, I'll just get a move in the summer. I'm probably being a bit uncharitable there. And like I say, the main problem is not playing to his strengths. But I do think, when Vydra comes on and does the job better, that's a bit of an indictment of Vega as well.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell really when he's getting so little service. Yeah, he's running. It looks like he's making the effort, but like you say, you don't know what's going on in his head. It's a culture change. It sounded like he really hit the ground running with training. All the positive comments from Dyche. But what do you think about the way do you think he'd suit playing with Vidra better than he would with Gerrard? Obviously, you had that initial spell where he were playing. He seems to have a good link up with Gerrard, but we've not really seen that recently because there's two bigger guys up top. Are we lumping it that way? But or are we just lumping it anyway, even if Vidra are on? I'm just thinking of the partnership that helped the second half of last season of Vidra and Wood. They've not even. I'm not sure if they've been on the pitch a minute together yet. Do you think that'd change anything or not?
It'd be interesting to see it, wouldn't it? Yeah, because the last few games you couldn't have said take Rodriguez off over Vegas because Vegas hasn't been in the games. But yeah, like you say, it worked when it was Vidra and Wood, didn't it? Because you're playing these balls around the corner into the channel. That's what Vidra can do. You saw against Everton, or get to the touchline and cut it back. And if you've got Vegas there, tap it in. So it'd be interesting to see it because you're loath to say leave Vegas on the bench because looking at the pedigree, he's got to be a better option than Rodriguez and Barnes, and we've paid a good chunk of money for him. So you've got to try and do something to get the best out of him. And we might again we'll come on to how much is going to change and how much isn't going to change in the next few games. But yeah, I'd be interested to see it for sure. And that's it. A bit harsh on Rodriguez. He's not done a lot wrong, but he's not effective enough, is he really?
No, it's the pedigree at the end of the day. You know that. Well, you think that Vegas does have it in him to get the goals and the wins at this level, whereas obviously Rodriguez, Vidra, Barnes have proven that they're not really goal scorers at this level. Barnes more recently. Barnes did very well over a 2 or 3 year period, but we've not seen that over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Years,
many of them have got to 5 up in the league, so. Yeah, there's none of them can really complain if they do get dropped. Speaking of people who can't complain if they do get dropped, I think the big talking point of the last few weeks has been the midfield. So I'll start by saying, obviously, we've had this debate a lot this season. We know the midfield is the major fault. We know that we haven't probably really got the players in there to get a cohesive, decent Premier League midfield together. I don't think Cork he's not the second coming of Andrea Pirlo. But having said that, he come in for them 2 games. It let Brownhill off the leash a little bit. I think Brownhill got a bit more up towards the edge of the opponent's box. I think that helped Veghorst. I think it's noticeable Veghorst's performances have dropped off since Westwood came back in. Westwood, he's not had a good season. And I was talking about it yesterday. I think if you'd have pulled that away and there wouldn't be one person who wouldn't have brought Cork in. I couldn't believe he was sat on the bench for the whole game. I'm exasperated. I have to say that Westwood and Brownhill partnership, it's obviously not working. Well, maybe you disagree, I don't know, but to me, it's obviously not working, and I can't believe we're still churning that out 30 games of the season. Let me have your thoughts on that. When do you think it should be changed? What would you swap? Who would you drop out of them to? I thought they were the worst 2 players on the pitch, Brownhill and Westwood on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that were the worst. We've not been great in centre midfield all season, but I think that were the worst of the lot. It were complete dross, giving the ball away all the time. They're getting in behind us with ease. Talked a lot about spacing behind our midfield too this season, but when the bottom side, who haven't won a game in however long, are just doing it with such ease in the first half, really sloppy on the ball. Just no real quality. No one, like you said, no one could argue with. I think Westwood obviously is the one because we have seen that performance level drop over a really long period of time. Brownhill's obviously never really lived up to. I'm not going to say the hype, but he's not really delivered consistently since he's come in. But with that, I'm clinging again to straws, clutching at straws. Whereas that period of 3 games where Cork did come into the side, where not just Cork were playing better than what Westwood is now and has done for a while, and in that small period of games, he seemed to bring the best out of Brownhill, bring Weghorst more into the game, play more more to his like preferred style. And I don't know what with the you'd hope there is a reason, because like you said, it is blatantly obvious that it's just not working. And even though it is a small sample size, why would he not carry on with corking the side after that? I don't understand it. Like, I think many people don't understand it, because it's not just his performance. Yeah, it's the whole side that looked better in those games. So I'm not holding out hope that that he will bring him in, but that's the obvious move that I think would improve our chances in the games coming up.
Yeah, even if you just tried Court with Westwood, I mean, I think for me, like you say, and it is a small sample size, but then if you look at the large sample size of the rest of the season, there's many games in them three with Westwood and with Brownhill and Cork in the middle as we have the rest of the season. So it's got to be worth trying. And we've seen it with Dyche in the past where he's just got a blind spot with players. I think the two biggest examples are the season we won the league, when he spent half the season playing me at left back and Duff at centre half. You know, everyone's going, you know, bring Ward in and put me at centre half. But eventually, when he does it after getting battered at Hull, we don't lose another game all season. And then the other obvious one is Joe Hart. You know, he's the third best keeper at the club. He plays half the season. We're in the drop zone. Get battered 5-1 at home. He drops him, and all of a sudden we drag ourselves out of it. So, you know, that was half the season when he realised these errors in the past. This one seems to be dragging on and on. Westwood has been a really good servant in the past, but his form has been horrific for the majority of the season. He was so bad on Saturday, like you said, giving it away. His short passing awful, that long ball in the channels, just not reaching anyone, not working. You know, you feel bad for him to an extent, because he's obviously been told to play like that, else you would be kept in the team doing it. But it's just so clear that it's not working. And when you've had that example of what we could be doing with Westwood and Cork in the middle, you know, like I said, I'm not saying we're going to suddenly win 8 out of 8 with them two, but when you're losing, you know, the last 6 out of the last 7 games we've lost and haven't scored. When you're on that kind of run of form, why would you not try something different? You know, it's that old definition of madness: keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. That is what we're doing at the minute.
And I think that's probably why, like, more and more people are losing patience with Dyche, and there is that discussion, like Dyche In, Dyche Out. I've always fallen very much on the Dyche In side, but you can understand why people are saying that when they see this stubbornness and the unwillingness to change. And hopefully this at the weekend, where we have just been outplayed in every department, I'd say, by the bottom side, that if that's not an eye-opener, I don't know what is. And he did seem to acknowledge it after the game that it wasn't good enough, but he's probably done that on quite a few occasions and still not changed things. So it'll be really interesting going into the West Ham game to see what he does. What did you think of Robertson, Lowton, and that decision? Obviously, I don't think it's as blatantly obvious or caused anywhere near as much damage, but that were another one before the game.
Yeah, this is one area where I do feel a bit for Dyche, because a lot of it's Deckchairs on the Titanic kind of thing. You know, I mean, to me, I think it made sense to bring Robertson in, because he's 7 or 8 years younger. He's not as versed in the style yet as Lowton, and I think that's why you see him make a few mistakes defensively. I could understand him bringing him in, because obviously we improved when he came on against Everton. But, you know, Lowton's got a bit more now. Defensively, he's better, I think. You know, I was glad of a week without him to see that crap long tray of Roberts. I really hate that. But I thought actually Lowton didn't take his opportunity. Quite a few times he got into space on the right hand side, then his crossing was really poor, especially in the first half. There was a few where he barely got it off the ground, and it's like, you know, you've got a 6'6" centre forward to aim at in there. I know that he's not, you know, in stellar form, and I know that perhaps getting on the end of crosses, as we're discovering, is perhaps not his forte, but the quality of the delivery, I mean, we've had it all season from Westwood. Balls in.
It was shocking. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. Those balls in from Lowton. But I didn't disagree with it either. I think Roberts got ripped to pieces by Richarlison. Just couldn't do anything right against him the other night. So, he's probably not been. Yeah, he was okay when he came in the side. added a bit of energy. But I think he said it himself, Lawton's a better footballer. So yeah, and like you said, I don't think there's that much between him. I could completely understand it. So yeah, I agree.
There's neither of them are head and shoulders above the other, I wouldn't say. Just so I don't. That's not the kind of thing that's going to make or break the season. I wanted to touch on what you said about the Dyche In, Dyche Out debate. It's I think you're right. I think it is starting to gather pace because it's obvious to most fans, I think, or most fans are of the same opinion that there's changes to be made. Like I say, his hands are tied to an extent. We should have had a midfielder in one of the last 3, 4, 5 transfer windows. The fact that we haven't upgraded that position in the summer or in January is really poor. There's areas like for example, bringing in Roberts, decent signing, but has that improved the team? Not really. Collins, he's a good standard backup, but he's not first choice. Bringing Lennon back. I wanted to touch on Lennon because he's had a few good games since coming back, but McNeil did more in that 2 minutes when he came on and put that ball through for corner than Lennon managed in the whole game. He gets to the touchline, he crosses it into the defender, we get a corner, and the corner gets wasted. We've not brought in enough, I don't think, in the window, and they have got a big job on. So from that perspective, I feel for Dyche. He's working to a very small budget. We've not supported him enough in the market, I wouldn't say. Obviously, before these owners or after. But that said, everyone would say there's obvious things that he could be doing to improve that with the limited resources that he has. He's not using Vega properly, and everyone can see that. Westwood is lucky to be in the team, and everyone can see that. Things like that. And I don't understand why you can't see that. I don't understand why we're persisting with this tactic that's got us 1 win and 3 goals in the last 7 games. And all 3 of them goals. To lose 6 out of 7, concede at least 2 in each of them games, and not scoring any of them. It's really not good enough. And he needs more flexibility. He needs a plan B. He needs to try something that's not 4-4-2, in my opinion, if he's not going to change the personnel. And the football's bad to watch. We're like that, aren't we? When we're good, we're good, but when we're bad, we're awful. And when you're not winning, the football's bad to watch. It's been bad for the last couple of years. The frustration's gathering, and I can understand it. Like you say, you can't blame people for being frustrated. One thing I would say, you can normally tell when it's really turning is when the fans in the stadium, especially the away fans, start getting on the manager's back. And I didn't hear any of that on Sunday, and I've not really heard it at Turf all season. But on the message boards before, I'm just starting to see more and more. You said yourself that you were a Dyche In bloke. Are you still that now? Are you staunchly Dyche In? Have you feelings changed from that?
Yeah, I think there's probably a few reasons really. But I can completely acknowledge, and I don't think there'd be any other Premier League side that are just stuck with Dyche or with any manager with the results we've had over the last 18 months, 2 years. And for the crowd still to be with him just shows what a fantastic job he's done over those years. And we'll never know really if we do go down this year whether it was that we've just overperformed for so many years, and then obviously we were going to go down eventually, and just how much of a good a job he's done before is now reflecting on how we're judging him now. But in terms of like going into if we did go into the Championship, I've not lost all hope yet, which I think we can talk about the rest of the season after this point. I wouldn't want anyone else in charge of this team. Our record in the Championships, in his last 2 seasons, 152, drawn 30, lost 10, which is he's lost 10 games in 2 seasons. There's only 2 teams in the Championship that haven't lost 10 games this season. And on that point, like you look at teams in the Championship like Huddersfield, Luton, Rovers, Millwall, Coventry are still in the playoff hunt. Norwich and Fulham have been promoted or relegated for the last 4 seasons. Looks like that's going to be 5 seasons. I don't think that I think next season we'd have a really good chance of going up, especially with Dyche's record of when we went down previously, we lost Ings, Trippier, Shackle, and Mane were injured for the season, and he's brought in Andre Gray, Barton, Keane, like a mix of experience, youth, firepower. He's also obviously got the best out of Austin, Ings, Vokes, Barnes at that level. Free transfers when he first came in, Heaton, Jones, Arfield. It's been a few years, but he literally he runs the club top to bottom. And if you're going to lose players like Pope, Tarkowski, Cornet in the summer, the last person I want to lose is Sean Dyche. And I think with the core of the team, with a good few additions, obviously the season ticket sales, the crowd should be up for it. All the derbies next season. I would really back us under Dyche to have a really good chance of coming back. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, because like I say, I have not lost all hope of staying up this season just yet.
Yeah, I think before we come on to that, just my 2 pence on Dyche as well. I'm a similar mind to you. I wouldn't be sacking him even if we do go down. I think he's got his part to play in the relegation, no doubt. And like I said, there's obvious errors that he's making. I thought he just had a shocker on Sunday. But like you say, his record in the Championship's really good. I think if we were to get relegated and we were looking for a manager, someone of his profile is exactly who we'd be trying to appoint. I've seen people saying it's going stale. I think that's it's the same kind of thing as saying that people are down in tools or they're not trying. It's a bit of a kind of throwaway comment that's easy to make, but it's hard to quantify. I do worry that if it's going to be a big summer, there's going to be a lot of overhaul. We're going to have a new look team next season, no matter what division we're in, I think, because a lot of players are going to leave and a lot of players need replacing. I think if we had a slow start, if we were something like Sheffield United have been this season, where we're sort of lower mid-table after 15, 20 games, then there might be some rumblings. But I'm with you. I'd be confident in his ability to get us back up. And I think with everything that he's done for the club, he's earned at least another season. So yeah, I'm Dyche for now, and I don't think I'll be changing that in the next 8 games, no matter how badly they go. So yeah, moving on from that, then let's address the elephant in the room. You just said to me there that you haven't given up hope.
If you had to ask, obviously now we're really up against it. We're going to struggle. We're odds on to go down. We've got no form. We obviously haven't performed well all season. I don't think you can form an argument at all to say that there's 3 worse teams than us this season, when I always thought that there has been in previous seasons. The one reason that I think there is still hope is the games we've got left. Is always taught, well, it's kind of inferred already, Dyche, that we have got nothing to lose. We can show a different mentality and go out and really give those games a go. And even when we have been struggling, the games that we've got left, of the 7 teams that we're playing, so we've played 6 of them already this season. Obviously, we've got Villa to play twice. We've only lost one of those games against the sides that we're playing. Obviously, a lot of draws. West Ham, Southampton, Wolves, and Watford we've drawn with this season. We've beat Spurs. Obviously, I wouldn't expect us to go to the Spurs Stadium, or whatever it's called, something like Spurs Stadium, and to get anything after the way they've had their upturning fortunes. And obviously, the Newcastle game, we did lose away from home against them. That's our only loss against the teams that are coming up. But if we get to that point and we've still got a chance, I think that goes out the window. It's basically a cup final, and I think all of us would take it now if it did go to that last game. But there's no, we've beat, I think Brownhill said in his interview, we beat these teams in the past. West Ham's going to be tough next game, but then you go into those Southampton and Wolves games, and that's just massive. And why can't we get results on them? And that'd roll us into the Watford away game. And if you've got results 4-6 points against Southampton and Wolves, then that Watford game is huge again, obviously dependent on what other teams have done as well. And I'll probably be disappointed again, given how we've done against those teams in and around us all this season. So yeah, Still hope yet. Good, now go on. Your pessimistic view, Tom.
Yeah, go on. So I think that's actually, it's cheered me up a bit, that, Adam, to be honest, because you used some analysis there, took a step away from the emotion of the game, and I thought, like, that stat about we've only lost to one of them teams previously this season, that's pretty amazing, really, when you consider our record. So yeah, I think it's a kind of run in, especially when you look at Everton's, for example, and I think really, like, realistically now, it's only Everton that we're capable of catching. I think Leeds have, with their win, obviously Brentford, they're just a bit too far out of reach now. I think the reason that I'm so pessimistic, so I said prior to the Everton game, I said we're going to need 6 points out of these next two, because Norwich are awful. They're a really poor team. I was reading the programme on the train back, and they know they're down already. So the comments, even from the manager and people like that, they're saying, oh, we'll keep plugging away until it's mathematically impossible. They know they're down. They know they're not good enough to be in the league. So when you're up against a team like that, and you come up with that performance as much as that result, that to me says that we haven't got the stomach for the fight in the same way that we have in previous seasons. These games, like you said, our record in these games is awful against the teams that are around us in the table. One win really in a crunch game with that Everton one on Wednesday, and that gave you the hope that maybe we've turned a corner, and maybe now the chips are down, and we really are aware that we're in a relegation battle, and there's none of this kind of, oh, we're Burnley, we'll be fine, we'll get out of it. And that result, fantastic, and I just so wanted us to just prove that it wasn't a flash in the pan, that it wasn't a one-off, that we can go and impose ourselves on a weaker team, get the 3 points that we need, and it just wasn't there. And for me, that's when I look at that performance, I just can't see how we're gonna improve enough to get 4 wins out of the last 8. The only way around it for me is to change the team, and I just don't have the confidence that the manager's going to do that. If I was going to pick out some positives, I think, like you said, the fixtures are good, the winnable games. West Ham away is one of the most difficult, and we're playing them at a good time, because you saw what happened to them after the European Cup quarter-final this weekend. They got dispatched by Brentford, so they're going to put a lot of energy, a lot of their energies for the remainder of the season really going into that European quarter-final. It's a winnable game for him, and we could get them after the Lord Mayor show like Brentford did this weekend. And if we can go there and win before Everton next play, it puts the pressure back on them. But we took a massive swing in the momentum by beating them. You could see at the end of that game, Everton were on the floor. And we've just allowed them, even though we've got a much easier fixture this weekend, we've allowed the momentum to swing back our way. But it can change quickly. So if we can somehow go to West Ham and win, and I don't want to see any of this, like, oh, take a point there, difficult game. None of that now. We're not picking up the points in the easier game, so we need to win. And that would be a statement win, wouldn't it, to be fair? Go there against a better team, pick up 3 points, put the pressure back on Everton. Then they've got Leicester at home. If they lose that, then they've got Liverpool, Chelsea and Leicester again to come. Hard games. Whereas, like you said, Southampton, Wolves, Watford, that's quite a kind running comparison for us. So, if I was going to get carried away, I'd say, beat West Ham, get 5, 6, 7 points out of the 3 after that. Then we're out the drop zone going into the last 4, and then the pressure really is on Everton. But after that performance and result, I just don't have the confidence. Your stats were really good. They gave me a bit of hope, but there's other ways to read the stats in there, and we need 4 wins from the last 8, and we've won 4 out of the first 30. So to me, that's the stat that when I allow myself to dream or believe a little bit, that's the one that just jumps back to me. And I just don't think we've got enough about us this season, unfortunately. So I hate to end it on a downer. I think you made some really good points. And like I say, if we have got enough about us to turn it around and go and win at West Ham next Sunday, then we're going to give ourselves a fighting chance. But we've let a massive, massive opportunity slip this weekend, and not in a fashion where, we didn't deserve it. Bless me, apologies. I'm allergic to the championship. It's gaining fast. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not a positive place to end it. Perhaps you've got a brighter note for us to finish on. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to bring up, anything else that was worth mentioning. But
no, I think that's the. I've got obviously the realistic Adam on one shoulder and the optimistic one on the other. I'm trying to go with the optimistic view, but no, I can't argue with any of those points you've raised there. It's more hope than expectation now, but let's back the boys.
Yeah, that's it. And I think we can be as negative as we want on Twitter, and I was quite negative on Twitter after the game. But all we can do now between now and then, I've got a West Ham ticket, I've got a Watford ticket, I've got a Villa ticket. I'll be at all them games, I'll be supporting the team, and that's all you can do as a fan. Do your best to create a good atmosphere in the stadium. I thought the atmosphere against Everton was brilliant, and Everton, to be fair, their fans made it a really good atmosphere for the Man United game. So if we can, even if we can help that 1-2% by doing that, let's do that. Let's do our best. 4 winnable home games to finish. If we get 4 wins out of them, we'll give ourselves a chance. So yeah, there we go. A more positive note to end on. And on a personal note as well, it's been quite cathartic to be able to talk through the weekend's events with you, Adam. So much appreciated. Thanks very much.
No, thanks a lot. Yeah, strangely enjoyed it. I feel a lot better going to work tomorrow. I've had shots fired at me from all over today. Working in Yorkshire, all the Leeds fans, a few Everton fans. Yeah, it's been a horrible day, but can only get better.
Luckily, I work in an office without any football fans, so it's been a blessed relief for me today. But as I say, it's been nice to talk through it with you. Thank you very much for your time, Adam. Thanks to all of you at home for listening. It takes a lot of courage to download a podcast entitled Norwich Away. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thanks for putting up with me as an ineffective host. Thanks very much to Matt for editing, making it sound good, and to George Gaskell for the music. One thing that I can remember is that the musician's name on Mike Natalie, so at least I've got that in my favour. So yeah, again, thank you very much. I'll see you at the London Stadium on Sunday. Fingers crossed that things can improve and the momentum can shift back in our direction. Up the Clarets.